everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Transform Business with the Internet of Things. I'm Lynn Gajowski from QNX Software Systems, and I'll be moderating today's call. Before I hand things over to Steve West, who is the Senior Director of Business Development for Cloud at QNX, and our speaker for today, I wanted to quickly review a few housekeeping items. So first, you do have the option to join by voice over IP or by phone today. To join by VoIP, just plug in headphones or turn up your speakers. To join by phone, click the Event Info tab at the top of your WebEx window and you'll see the teleconference number to use. The Info tab will be there throughout the webinar if you need the numbers at any point. All attendee lines are automatically muted to ensure that everyone watching gets the best audio possible. Next, everyone is welcome to ask questions throughout the webinar using the Q&A panel, which is located in the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx window. Just type your question into the bottom of this panel and send to all panelists to submit your question. It is best to send to all panelists so that we all can see your questions coming in. And then we will address as many questions as possible at the end of the webinar. Finally, we are recording today, so I will be sending out a recording of this content to everyone within a few days. So with that, I will hand things over to Steve.
All right, thank you very much, Lynn, for that introduction. First and foremost, I want to thank all of you for accepting the invitation today. Again, I'm Steve West, the Senior Director of Business Development for QNX, and I'll be your host for the next hour. So first, for the hour, you can see the agenda that's there, and I'm really thrilled to have such a diverse audience join us today. And my intent is to really give you a relevant update to continue the dialogue and or to start a more focused discussion and engagement around how QNX can help you transform your business with an Internet of Things platform. But first, before we get into the details of the QNX platform, I really wanted to get us reacquainted and or acquainted with Project ION. So certainly Project ION is focused on one of the hottest emerging trends in technology today, which is the Internet of Things, or IoT as it's called. And certainly one of the hottest topics in technology is really driven by the inflection point of technology and innovation. Elements such as the ubiquitous wireless networks that we see today, connectivity everywhere, commoditization of very high performance hardware, innovation in software development, and the ever increasing need for competitive advantage driven through new user engagement. And all this leads to a forecast for massive growth in both connected devices, transactions, and exabytes of data that will flow from IoT-based applications. You can't pick up a periodical today or read a blog post that doesn't include something about IoT. And if you've read some of the analyst reports out there, it's absolutely incredible to see the growth curve that's in front of us. Based on the analysts that you read, you'll see anything from 25 billion devices to as many as 200 billion devices being forecast between now and 2020 that are going to take advantage of this new world of the Internet of Things. What that translates to is going to be trillions of transactions going through networks back to platforms to make sense of all this data through analytics and inform real-time decision-making so that competitive advantage can be seized. This translates into literally exabytes of data. Now, exabyte is one of those numbers that's hard for you to get your head around. It's actually a 1 with 18 zeros behind it, or the capacity of the entire global telecom network back in the year 2000. So certainly a trend that's on the cusp of exploding, and BlackBerry has reached out to its customers to really get a sense and to help them understand how they can take advantage of this emerging trend. To do that, we've had direct dialogues with our customers and partners. So conversations with all sizes of companies, from innovative startups to full-scale industrial companies with millions of endpoint devices. And what's interesting to find as well is that IoT and device connectivity is at the center of virtually every vertical industry out there looking to transform their business and really grow it into new areas. From transportation, from smart energy, to consumer types of devices and applications like wearables, to industrial automation, and right through to medical. So certainly for BlackBerry, huge strategic initiative. And recently at the O'Reilly Solid event back in May, we launched an initiative that we named Project ION. And it's a series of initiatives from BlackBerry that enable customers to realize their full vision for the Internet of Things. Now what I want to do today is go into more detail around one critical element of that strategy within Project ION, and that's specifically the QNX Cloud IoT platform. So I will talk today in some detail around, specifically what the QNX Cloud Platform is. And certainly enabling IoT is more, though, than just a product. It's about a combination of elements that it can bring the whole industry together. And certainly, the center can be the QNX product that we are focused on to enable IoT and IoT applications, but it's also about strategic partnerships. It's also about building an ecosystem to really formulate and provide a foundation moving forward. So some specific examples, when you look at some of the strategic partnerships that we've engaged with in recent months, certainly one important one for us was joining the Industrial Internet Consortium. So with that organization and its many early innovator founders being Intel, General Electric, IBM, Cisco, AT&T, as well as a number of startups, government organizations, and academia, really to foster an environment globally that can drive this forward through things like innovative test beds and as well as making sure that there's solid interoperability across different platforms. Another critical piece for us is the Application Developer Alliance, where we chair a group focused on the privacy and security of data. So certainly IoT ecosystem facilitation is absolutely critical for us. When you look at the full chain of IoT, it spans device manufacturers, software developers, systems integrators, carriers, and application developers, all with the goal of truly transforming the user experience. So now let's look at an element of Project ION, which is the cloud-based IoT platform delivered by QNX. It's worthwhile to do a quick overview of QNX, just so I think you can see the foundation of the company and some of the skill sets that we've applied to the platform. So certainly, the company's been around and has founded back in 1980. It's a wholly owned subsidiary of BlackBerry, and again, been around for more than 35 years, right? Driving, deep embedded technology for a wider range of customers. Over those years, QNX has found itself being utilized in some of the world's most mission-critical environments across virtually every industry vertical. And it's this breadth of experience and knowledge that's really informing the development of the QNX Cloud IoT platform. So now let's spend some time on the details of the QNX Cloud product. First of all, I want you to visualize the QNX Cloud Platform into three primary elements. The assets that live on the network itself, the cloud that is really the central data hub and intelligence of the overall system, and then the administrative console that can be the window into those devices that reside on the network. Now there's three core principles that we've looked at as the foundation for the platform: simplicity, scalability, and security. And these have all really informed the architecture and the features that are developed on top of the platform. So when you look at simplicity, first and foremost, the ability to integrate a device onto the platform and do it very seamlessly and very simply. Also, the ability to integrate the platform into back office systems, again, must be very seamless, very simple, and very low touch. And thirdly, the ability to manage complex infrastructure very easily, and again, very seamlessly without a lot of operational expertise or high touch. Scalability. You know, when I talked about those billions of devices, certainly you can think this as a bit of a table stake in the industry, right? But it doesn't just happen. Scalability has to be architected into the platform from the very beginning. It cannot be an afterthought after the fact. And certainly security as well, critical to our core and to the intelligence that we've applied to this. And again, not just security from the device perspective, but a true end-to-end solution where we can give options to customers on how they want to implement security that's right for their specific use cases. So let's look at those three elements in details now, starting with the capabilities of the assets or the devices themselves. So on the device side services, we've architected the platform to really be communication protocol independent. Now, the initial release, we've focused on being HTTP, right? And we've chosen that technology due to its familiarity with the broadest of all the developer ecosystems. It should also be noted, though, that specialized protocols are also very easily implemented on the platform. Certainly, cross-platform is absolutely critical. Being able to connect devices regardless of hardware and or operating environment, absolutely critical to managing a very diverse ecosystem of devices. Security, again, data in transit as it exits and enters the device, it must be done so very securely and protected, right? So protocols such as SSL, authentication protocols such as RSA and PKI, again, very critical to the overall platform and how we treat the devices on the network. And data. What can you do with the data that resides on these devices, be it health and status, time series data, alerts, alarms, notification, setting up communication for the bidirectional file transfer to and from the devices. Again, all critical and all part of the QNX Cloud solution. So simplicity on the device side also means making it very simple for developers. So we've been, and to make interaction with the devices very simple, we've implemented a framework for describing, producing, consuming, and visualizing APIs that access the system. We've implemented this in such a way that the QNX Cloud behavior is the same regardless of the endpoint environment, making it very consistent for developers regardless of the platform that they're implemented on. So again, device-side security, absolutely vital. But when you think about security, you have to think about it as a complete end-to-end chain. Security is only as tight as its weakest link. So it has to be considered as a complete system that moves from device to cloud to back-end to data center and to external devices that are accessing that data. So here we've taken cues certainly from BlackBerry's pedigree in security, where we secure millions of devices and millions of transactions going through global networks on a daily basis. We've also taken best practices from data center security and other mission-critical data and security elements. And certainly it's all about flexibility, being able to give customers flexible security models that are right for their business, right? And not just being able to provide end-to-end security, but also provide robust mechanisms to detect threats and being able to take action on them immediately. Again, still looking at the device side here, one critical element of IoT, again, is when you think of those billions of devices, a large percent of them will be remote devices that will depend on batteries for their power source. So power consumption on those devices is absolutely critical to be managed. Now, certainly sending data in real time, right, can provide a lot of advantages, but it can also be very expensive, both in terms of cost and expenses on system resources. As every time a piece of data needs to be sent, a radio needs to be turned on and consuming battery and energy, and then time taken to turn that radio back off. So in data-driven decision-making, not all data is considered equal. There are certainly times when data needs to be sent in real time, but then there's other times when data can be cached and then sent in batches. So the QNX Cloud Platform allows system designers to instrument data specifically for what their needs are, be it real time or batch. And once that's implemented on the platform, that is seamless going forward. I'll give you a couple of examples here. If you were to think of the use case of a remote chemical tank, it's not really important to know that situation is all normal and that the tank is full 24/7. What's important is that if there's an out-of-boundary condition or an alarm alert, that needs to be sent in real time. So the platform allows the developers of these applications to be able to tag that specific data for real-time delivery and then make that happen. Same story with a user stepping up to a vending machine. If interaction is to happen in real time, you need to know when that happens now, not after the user has left the vending machine. So certainly critical elements on the device side, again, that we've applied solutions towards. But now let's move to the cloud. So when you look at the evolution of IoT, it's come from a world that really started with machine-to-machine connectivity, where those types of platforms usually resided within the firewalls of enterprise and companies. But IoT now has moved beyond the straits of the internal IT firewalls. And the QNX Cloud leverages today's secure public cloud environments, where things like scalability and failover can be not only fully automated, but constantly monitored. If data latency starts to build up, we can seamlessly open up a new node. Unexpected events like explosions of data for unforeseen events, again, we can seamlessly fire up another database instance to take care of that. And again, security here is an end-to-end solution. So certainly secure of data at transit is vital, so is data at rest. So being able to do things like ensuring that the data is encrypted in the data center itself, making sure that encrypted pipes exist between the data center and corporate back offices, or between data centers and data centers. Again, encrypted data that extends all the way through to encrypted backups as well. And certainly here, the physical security of data centers absolutely vital to our system as well. So specific certifications are applied, as well as data center audits to make sure that there's a complete, full end-to-end security enablement. So when you look at enabling this incredible growth in devices, transactions, and data, it means that massively scalable technologies need to be the foundation of the system. Efficient scale also translates into lower total cost of ownership. So what we've done here is we've taken cues from the social environment. Applications like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Foursquare, these are all proven scalability, and the technologies that are the foundation of those social applications are also the foundation of the QNX Cloud Platform. We've also taken a look at the historical knowledge that we have from BlackBerry, which was all about BlackBerry's years of experience and background in enabling massive data distribution across hundreds of carrier networks across millions of devices. So these technologies really enable the magnitude of reads and writes of data into the database, and enhance the overall scalability to allow true real-time access to that data. And again, implemented outside the boundaries of an organization on a secure public cloud that really facilitates the sharing of that data across a variety of different data silos and end users. So now let's move from the assets and the cloud And let's have a look at the admin console capability. The admin console, this is really your window into the system. It's mission control for the platform, as well as a means to take action on those data-driven decisions from the data on those devices. Managing that capability is absolutely critical. So certainly the ability to configure users, organizations, and role. Be able to apply very fine-grained permissions to the data and to those users. Being able to browse devices, be able to telescope down deeply into them and get the status of those device settings. Set up file management to and from those devices. And again, manage the overall security end-to-end from the platform to be able to view, revoke, and associate different authorization to different applications and different data. Authenticate consumer applications that need to attach to the data. Manage certificates and the authorization of end-user devices. And certainly the need to be able to do this very flexible, right? Through HTML5 technologies, again, making it very, very simple for developers to adapt the console to the various different devices and different users that are accessing the data. So let's drill down into one of the primary capabilities of the QNX Cloud Platform, and that being device management of those IoT devices on the network. So again, this is the window into the entire device universe that you're managing, with the flexibility to view and action the data and the behavior that's important to you across the entire fleet, or be able to drill down to a specific device or even specific subcomponents on that device. And again, because the console is so flexible in terms of its overall design, it's built on the HTML5 interfaces are built on those APIs that I spoke about earlier. So the console is very, very easy to adapt to different users of the system. I'll give you an example. If you take the example such as automotive, where you may have a car manufacturer that wants to view their overall universe of devices, a subset of that data may be open and exposed to the dealer network to manage specific things and telescope in and take action on specific actions. And then finally, as an end user, I want a window into my own vehicle, right, through my own smartphone. So again, the console allows that type of adaptation to different end users, and again, being able to tailor the experience to the specific device that makes sense for them. So I've talked about some of the broad capabilities of the solution, but I think it helps sometimes to make it a little bit more real by talking about a sample scenario. One of the scenarios that we've chosen to help illustrate this is connected kiosks. And when you think about the business of IoT, right, and its ability to really change the game and transform business, it's about three primary things. First and foremost, it's about accelerating new devices to market. It's about getting innovation to market quicker. Once in market, it's about operational efficiency and cost reduction, being able to manage those devices effectively. And finally, it's about enabling true differentiation through data-driven business intelligence. It's really about managing an entire business lifecycle through one single platform. So innovation is about disrupting the way that we do things. And one of the examples that we use here, again, in the kiosk example, is what does it mean to get my time to market and my innovation to market quicker? So in yesterday's non-IoT world, if I was developing a new product, I would develop the product, I would take it through a number of test cases within a lab environment. I would then do a number of staged rollouts out in the real world to see that behavior. The challenge with that is that at each one of those stages, you don't know what to expect. And again, in a pre-IoT world, to be able to really understand what's happening with those devices, service reps used to have to go out and literally physically plug into those types of devices. So what would it mean if you changed the game in that? And then rather than plugging into those devices physically, you could access that data from those devices in real time. So not only can you understand the real behavior that's going on in the field, but you can proactively make changes to those devices in real time, greatly accelerating your time to market by reducing those test cycles. So specifically, this is how we enable that. So the QNX Cloud Agent that resides on the device itself can be instrumented by device developers to look at the various logging and subsystems that exist on the device. So being able to capture real-time performance logs or logs from historical actions such as file crashes. And again, being able to analyze that in real time, make adaptations for that, deliver software updates remotely so that you can completely accelerate past pre-development and into production. So let's now look at full-scale deployment, getting millions of devices out there into the network and managing them in real time. At this point, for an organization, the real value is all about maximizing uptime and reducing those maintenance costs. It's about being able to monitor those devices in real time and fix issues proactively before end users are impacted. It's about managing your entire fleet. So in this example here, you can see how the kiosks that are deployed are constantly reporting their device status to the QNX Cloud. That status in turn is then visualized through the administrative console. And in this case, the use case that we're using is the ability to use the console to direct a remote firmware update to, again, take care of an issue that's been uncovered, or perhaps, deliver a brand new feature there as well. So again, about managing the life cycle of deployed assets. So again, the ability to deliver software updates is an absolute core feature in virtually any IoT platform. Being able to determine what versions are in the field, what versions are being impacted, and then being able to select a specific update based on that specific metadata that you see. So from here, the console allows you to control the upload of the file, and it allows it to be securely signed external to the cloud for maximum security. It allows you to create that software update and apply it to the specific devices that need that update. And then once that software update is delivered to those endpoint devices, the platform and the QNX agent on those devices automatically is able to reply and report its status back to the console so that you can see those updates are applied in real time, and again, have a completely accurate view of the version that is on that device. Now, I think we've talked a little bit now about that life cycle through early deployment through to operationally effective management of that. But now we get to really, the true potential of unlocking a user-centric view of IoT. So this capability now unleashes the creativity of the marketing department. So if you look at this use case in particular, you see those same connected use cases that are connected to the QNX Cloud. Now in this case, we inject a new player into this environment, which is the end user. Now as that end user steps up to that kiosk to interact with it, what happens is the application that resides on the consumer's device connects to that device in real time. That then triggers events in the cloud whereby the end user behavior on that specific kiosk can be personalized for that end user. So different languages, different profiles can be delivered, different themes can be provided. Again, a rich personal experience can be used to engage that end user. And at the same time, that same capability can be used to pull data from other sources as well, so that you can understand the current engagement model with this customer. Does this now present you an opportunity for an upsell, for a new feature, a new function, again, to really enhance that user experience, give more value to that end user, and again, create that loyalty and long-term value from the customer itself. So again, a real complete end-to-end view of how you can use the QNX Cloud to transform the business. So hopefully the previous example of the connected kiosk really helps to illustrate the value and the capability. Now, certainly that's one example, but that same set of use cases can be applied to virtually any industry example out there. Again, from early startup companies to real full-scale industrial applications. So once we understand the capability of the platform and some of the use cases that are available, implementation in your company environment to take advantage of this business transformation is absolutely key. Now, when I've discussed this capability with customers out there, there is no question that IoT is an absolute strategic priority for a good many companies. And the engagement that we've had across this very broad spectrum has highlighted that there's a number of critical and key questions and lessons learned, both from those that are entering the world of IoT for the first time and those that have had some experience, not always good. So you have to watch out for pitfalls out there. Again, IoT presents an opportunity to transform your business, but you have to do it in a very thoughtful environment. One of the examples that I like to understand and discuss with customers is, what's your core business? Too many times I've seen corporate environments struggle because their own internal IT or development organizations take it upon themselves to develop an end-to-end M2M or IoT system. But you have to ask yourself a question: what business am I in? Am I in the business of managing complex databases? Am I in the business of managing massively scalable infrastructure? Is secure messaging really my forte? So again, being able to select a partner that has all the pedigree to deliver on that is absolutely critical. Homegrown solutions, I've seen, usually do not provide the types of flexibility and certainly aren't able to live beyond the corporate firewall. Is the architecture modern? Is it developer friendly? Is it easy to deploy? Again, a lot of times proprietary technology is used because it's the purpose-built use case. But again, not the way to go for a flexible, long-term, future-proof environment. When you're selecting a vendor, do they have the true expertise on the really hard stuff? Do they have years of experience on device-side integration? Do they know what it means to truly scale devices globally, right? Over thousands of devices, over potentially dozens of different carrier networks? Do they have a true pedigree in security? So again, absolutely critical when you're selecting a partner for the evolution towards an IoT environment. Is the platform flexible? You don't know, none of us know where IoT is going to take things, right? You need to make sure that you have a platform that's going to be able to grow with your business and be flexible to take on the demands that are unforeseen. What are the barriers to entry? Is there a huge upfront capital investment that I need to make? Is that going to cause challenges from a budgetary approval perspective? Is there massive system integration that I need to do? Is my internal skill set up to speed on being able to manage this type of platform? What about addressing the diversity of users across my organization, right? These are critical things that need to be answered, right? And finally, what's the business model for this platform? Can I control the costs? So certainly, we've heard these questions directly from our customers. And we've applied the answers to these questions against the platform that we're developing. And one of the things that I think is vital to this as well is, certainly there is a very strong desire across, all those companies that I've been talking to seize the opportunity that's out there and accelerate their IoT strategies. But certainly, what we've seen a lot of times is that companies simply, don't know where to start. They may have questions about technology, they may have questions about business case, but a lot of times, some of the challenges just where do I start? So again, here we can be a partner for you to validate your IoT goals. Again, QNX has a very long history of taking customers through from early design through to full-scale product, full-scale production systems. And again, it's important to engage very early on to validate those IoT goals. So again, we've got expertise from a wealth of experience that can help you brainstorm the IoT use cases that make sense for you, that help to validate your use cases very on, so that you can prove out not only the technology, but validate your return on investment. And again, our engagement model makes it very easy for you to experiment with the platform, right, and a very low friction approach to move from those early trials through to full-scale production deployments. So really, what possibilities are you imagining, right? So I want to thank you for your time. That concludes the majority of the presentation today. I want to point your attention to the two places of contact on the screen now. Certainly, if you want to get continued updates from Project Ion, you can sign on to the mailing list that you see there at blackberry.com/Project Ion. Or if you want to get involved in the early access program for the QNX Cloud Platform, you can hit us at that email address directly, businesstransformation@qnx.com. Now, Lynn, I think we've still got time for questions.
Yeah, definitely. So thanks, Steve. And just as a quick reminder for those of you on, if you would like to ask a question, you can do this using the Q&A panel located in the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx window. And it is easiest if you send to all panelists so that we can all see your questions. So I think a good one to start with here is, what is your definition of a device? A BTLE device, a kiosk, a smartwatch? Must it run QNX? What about Arduino-like devices, smartwatches, consumer electronics?
Yeah, okay, great. So certainly our view of IoT, right, is one that we enable IoT devices regardless of the specific hardware or the specific operating environment in there. So certainly, in addition to supporting the QNX OS, we support a variety of other operating environments as well, be it Linux, be it Android, be it iOS as well. So certainly that our ability to adapt to different operating system environments is a core element of the platform. Now, certainly what makes up the device, again, this is really the definition left up to the definition of the product company that we engage with. So, certainly we see a lot of companies doing early innovation on Arduino or Raspberry Pi or BeagleBone devices. Again, it's very easy. Our client side is very, very lightweight and, again, very standards-based, so it allows us to be easily coexist with operating environments and, again, the resource constraints of a variety of different devices.
Great. You talk about IoT transactions and data. What about the actual network infrastructure which needs to be updated before this type of traffic can be handled? What efforts are being made by you and others to get to the network part updated? And I don't know if that's something you can cover, but...
Well, certainly I think when you look at the place that QNX and BlackBerry plays in this industry, we're very much knowledgeable on the state of current networks. And certainly, when I talked a little bit earlier about fostering the ecosystem and facilitating that ecosystem, one of our core partners in that is obviously the carriers. And, when we engage with carriers, there's absolutely no question that IoT is a fundamental element of their strategy, and they certainly see it as a way to facilitate more and more devices on the network. So they've already taken early steps to be able to enable that. Certainly one of the drivers with 4G was the need for a massive data-driven network across the globe. So I think there's a lot of those pieces that are coming into play very, very quickly. And I think when we're all looking at the same growth curve for these devices and all doing what's ever required to be able to onboard those devices and continue this trend of massive growth of IoT.
How do you ensure real time using a public cloud?
So again, a good question, probably a very complex answer. Again, I think it goes back to some of the technology decisions that we've made, particularly around databases. But when you look at things such as databases such as Cassandra, again, which are architected to do massive scale reads and writes beyond some of those traditional enterprise databases that are NoSQL or SQL. So the technologies that we've chosen have been architected to really handle that massive scale, be able to do it with very low latency. And then again, some of the technologies that we've chosen, again, I'll use the example of Elasticsearch. So again, the ability to be able to have an extremely high performance data where, where data is important for real-time, the analysis in real time is there to be searched and engaged with.
Will the QNX Cloud's data centers be BlackBerries or something else?
Yeah, so certainly, when we looked at the implementation of our strategy and our infrastructure strategy, one of the messages that came very clear from our customers is that they wanted choice in terms of how the system gets deployed. So we've architected the solution to be very, very portable in terms of being able to choose a variety of different clouds. So certainly we're launching the platform with a specific cloud partner that we'll announce later. But again, certainly that we are open to, the solution is architected to provide choice in that deployment around public clouds that make sense for the specific company and where they're going to be deployed.
There's a question here about speeds. What speeds are optimal for this environment? So he's got a variety of things, but mobile end users, stationary users, that kind of thing. Is that anything you can speak to at this point?
So I think if we're talking about network speeds, again, it really depends on how much data you want to transmit to and from the device and back to the cloud. Certainly, our platform allows, device developers and software developers to tailor the specific environments of device to the constraints of the network. So I talked a little bit earlier about sometimes the constraints of power, right, that exist on a device itself. We allow the user or the developer to instrument that device to take advantage of the power that's on the device. The same holds true for connection speeds. Obviously, if you've got a device that's constrained by, let's say, 2G technology, the data that you want to send from that device back to the cloud, very large batch files or large software updates can be challenging over that environment. But we allow the device builders and again the back-end business rules to be adapted to take advantage of the connectivity that's available. Again, be that carrier networks, be that Bluetooth, close proximity networks or Wi-Fi networks as well. Again, we're agnostic to the specific transport layer, but at the same time provide tools within the system to be able to adapt to that to the throughput constraints of the network.
Using the use case you spoke about, are you planning to define or require security protocols at the kiosk level?
Again, I think this goes up very much to the choice of the specific device maker. Certainly, if I'm the manufacturer of one of those kiosks, I have the ability at the manufacturing process to take specific steps to secure that device. Things such as burning in keys at the manufacturing process so that when that kiosk boots up for the very first time, the platform is aware of that specific key that's been burnt on to that device so that you can authenticate that kiosk is actually, the kiosk that it says it is, and then the chain of authentication and authorization can flow from there. So certainly, again, BlackBerry has a lot of specific expertise around, secure manufacturing of devices, and we can consult different companies on how to make sure that you can leverage capability at the manufacturing level and device design level to be able to take advantage of security from the ground up.
Many young companies are doing homegrown backends on AWS with proprietary APIs and are enjoying the cheapness of this approach. How are you competing against this?
We're not competing against that. Our role in that is to facilitate and help those startups. Again, it goes back to what business do I want to be in, and if I'm a startup, what I'm trying to do is, and I'll use the example of a startup that's trying to get a new device to market. Right? We don't want that startup to be worrying about the complexities of cloud-based infrastructure. Right? So our platform really provides a platform that can scale to small startups right through to the full industrial scale customers. So, I would love to engage with startups. Again, we have a very low friction, very tailorable system where a startup can take advantage of our cloud versus go through, all that heavy lifting to build their own instance of a device management or data management service in the cloud.
This is an interesting question here. What are the opportunities for developers with Project Ion? So, and if that's something that we might not have now, what do you see as being opportunities for them?
This is absolutely critical. Certainly, again, if you look at some of the history, that BlackBerry has, and I'll use the most recent example of the launch of the BB10 devices. BlackBerry, and again, the VP of the organization that I'm in, Alex Saunders, was instrumental in building out the biggest ecosystem of developers and applications for a new platform that had ever been deployed. So certainly, we see IoT in much the same vein. The potential to engage developers to build on top of the platform will be absolutely key. And again, this holds true to the way that we've architected the platform as well. I gave you the example earlier about how we expose our APIs to a developer environment. Right? Again, very standard developer tools that they're very familiar with, making sure that we enable a tool chain that makes sense, making sure that we're open to developers regardless of the operating environment that they want to develop on top of, be it QNX, be it Linux, or be it other device types as well. And this holds true not only for applications that reside on the devices themselves, but also applications that make use of this data for the back end as well. Again, using very standard protocols to be able to access that data, and again, being able to securely authenticate the users of those applications and being able to apply very fine-grained permissions to the specific data so that only certain applications can get to that data. Again, we're providing these tools as part of the platform, and again, for us, enabling developers, building up that IoT ecosystem is absolutely critical. So again, look for more to come within the overall initiative that is Project Ion to be able to create a developer ecosystem that really fosters innovation and takes advantage of the dynamic growth from IoT.
I know that we've already covered this, but I'm getting several questions, so maybe you could just go over again if QNX Cloud will run on top of QNX, Linux, Windows, if you could just kind of go over that list again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, when we've spoken to customers out there, it's absolutely critical that we give device makers choice in the environments that they want to work in. So, certainly we have a specific pedigree with our, with QNX, and certainly there's some advantages in using QNX that we're happy to talk to device makers about. But certainly at the same time, this is about enabling, the entire device universe that's out there. So, again, being able to, and again, this is one of the reasons why we've chosen, some of the protocols that we've chosen, be it HTTP and or REST as some of our in some of our early releases of the platform is to give a broad range of flexibility. Certainly we'll provide C device-side libraries for other operating systems as well, right? So they are absolutely, all devices will be created equal when we look at the QNX Cloud environment.
What size or type is your client software? Would you envision it being used on very small embedded sensor devices?
Yeah, so I think a lot of times that potential is there. Again, there's when you look at sensors today and what sensors were in the past, I mean, again, some of the commoditization of hardware is providing an incredible amount of capability in even the most simple of sensors today. So certainly if a sensor is not able to connect to a network, then yeah, it's really not visible to the cloud itself. But right, again, if it is able to connect to a network, even if it's not fully capable to run all the capability from the platform as well, there are mechanisms to be able to have the data from devices aggregated to a single point upon which they can be packaged up and leveraged, that data can be leveraged through the QNX Cloud as well. So, I think there's the opportunity for a multi-level hierarchy here to make sure that the data can flow seamlessly from simple devices through to complex devices as well.
There are a lot of questions coming in about automotive and how IoT is connected with that. So maybe I'll just kind of give you an open-ended question if you want to talk about how you see our IoT solution in the automotive market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly if you read analyst reports, the biggest single homogeneous market for IoT is automotive. I mean, there's literally millions of automobiles deploying on an annual basis. And when you look at the evolution of that sort of, the user experience, if you will, of the automotive environment, connectivity is a relatively new feature of the automotive environment. And what the auto OEMs are telling us, and again, QNX is a very, very strong player in the automotive market. I mean, our software ships in more than 14 million vehicles a year, so we're very well acquainted with that market, very well acquainted with the inherent complexities of the car as a device. So certainly when we engage with those automotive OEMs, their ability to transform the user interface from the data that they collect from those devices is absolutely key. I mean, all you have to do is pick up a newspaper and you will see things like the latest recall from company A or company B in automotive, right? Well, if you applied QNX Cloud technology to that use case, you'd be able to remotely update that software on those vehicles before it caused any end user challenge. So the automotive industry is completely embracing the opportunity that IoT presents to it, again, for operational efficiency, but as importantly to transform the end user experience. So we are absolutely dialoguing with our customers to support them move into that world and take advantage of IoT.
There's also a few questions about data ownership. So are we picturing QNX leveraging the data collected from customer partnerships, or will that data be wholly owned by your customers? Also a question related about how can you deal with customers with sensitive data and rules which may require their data to remain within their own country's borders, for example?
Again, when you think about IoT, those are great questions because I think data ownership and being able to understand privacy and how that exists either geographically or just within the own governments of a company. Our view of this is very, very simple. Your data is your data. QNX does not own the data that comes from these devices. We simply facilitate the transport of that data. We support the ability to gain understanding from that data, but it is not our data to see and or use. And in terms of some of these governance laws around where data can reside, how, can it be or does it need to be constrained within geographic boundaries? Again, this goes back to our ability have flexible deployment models for the software, right, and be able to manage, a global data center environment. So, should specific data need to not be exported beyond some geographical boundary, we can do that. And again, the capability of the platform to be able to apply specific rules to specific types of data, again, facilitates this making happen. Now, I'm not going to say this is easy. This would require, deep engagement to understand the complexities of that. But again, something that certainly, we at QNX and BlackBerry, is very familiar with those types of challenges.
Can you talk about what your key target segments or sectors are?
Yeah, no, again, a very good question, because when we see the breadth of opportunity, it really spans, the full gamut of verticals. Again, we've talked about medical, we've talked about transportation, we've talked about industrial, we've talked about consumer. Certainly our initial targets that we're seeking now are companies that have a need for rapid time to market and have deployment cycles that are relatively short. Certainly what we want to do is we want to be able to showcase to our customers the capability with QNX Cloud. So, certainly we've got what we feel is a very horizontally applicable platform. And again, we will work to provide vertical solutions. And again, I think this goes back to the facilitation of the IoT ecosystem and the various partners that we're looking to engage with. Vertical solutions require very specific expertise at times. If you take the example of medical, you need specific technical, business, and governance expertise to be able to provide solutions for that. So again, in those types of cases, we will align ourselves with specific vertical application or solution providers in those verticals, and they will be able to take advantage of QNX Cloud to deliver specific capability to those verticals.
We're almost hitting the 1 hour mark, so I'm going to take this as the last question. But note, there are actually a lot of questions that have come in that we're not going to be able to get to on this webinar. So we're going to do our best to do some blog posts on popular questions that came in or things that we find really interesting. So you can check out the QNX blog for that, as well as Inside BlackBerry. Those will be to come. So the last question, if the device has proprietary connectivity, are there tools to allow other devices, such as a PC or smartphone, to act as a gateway to the IoT cloud?
Yeah, I think, again, that's totally within the realm of capability. Certainly the ability to use other devices as a proxy for the network connectivity is a vital requirement within an IoT platform. Certainly be able to use things like smartphones, again, as the connectivity pipe, or other devices that may be connected to the network. Certainly those are all capable within the architecture. Again, sometimes the devil is in the details of implementation, and again, we've got the right engineering expertise to be able to engage with customers, to be able to enable those types of network scenarios that they want to see in terms of, transporting that, again, mission-critical, device-driven data through the cloud.
Great. Well, as I mentioned earlier, a copy of this content will be sent to everyone by email in a few days. If you'd like more info on QNX or our upcoming cloud solution, our contact info is up on your screen. So that concludes today's webinar. Thank you, Steve, for presenting, and thanks everyone else for joining us. Have a great day.